Lifesharing had a record number of organ donors in 2021. Interim Director Jeff, help me out with the last name. Is it Tregesser?
Tregesser.
Jeff Tregesser joins us now to talk about the generosity of these donors and how we keep that trend going. Hey, Jeff, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Paul.
All right, so I'm looking at the numbers here. 140 or 413 organs were transplanted last year?
That's right. That's just from here in San Diego and Imperial counties, which is a big number for us. And that means that 413 people who are waiting for an organ are alive now because of the generous gifts of these families and individuals who donated their organs last year.
How big of a spike is that from, say, the year prior?
With that, the 146 donors is a record. I think we did 143 the year before, which was a record. So the trend just keeps going up. More and more families and individuals are choosing to donate their organs when they can no longer use them at the end of their lives. And it's just something we're extremely proud of because it's our mission to get people off the transplant list before they die. 8 people die every day waiting for their transplant. And our mission is to keep that from happening. Get people those transplants, get them back to their families, get them back to their jobs. And we do that by working with families who are in a time of crisis and talk to them about this life-affirming gift.
What is the most sought-after organ in need for donors? Is it hearts, kidneys?
It's kidneys. There's so many Americans on dialysis in kidney failure that there just isn't enough to go around. And so that's really the bulk of what organ donation and transplant is, but also livers, hearts, lungs, as you mentioned, pancreas, and even on rare occasion, things like you may have heard of, not really in San Diego as much, but things like face, arms, and other things that are kind of groundbreaking new.
Are all donors created equal? I mean, like, I'm now 61 years old. My parts are pretty much worn out, but I still have the mark checked on my license. I'm still willing to give.
Yeah, no, we have no age limit, and you know, I'm not far behind you, but you know, I think that you never know what kind of a gift you can leave. We really don't know until the to the last minute. We've had donors as up as high as late 70s, and even there's been some 80-year-old donors on other parts of the country. So it is feasible.
Well, I mean, my feeling is you can have my parts, do with them what you will. If you can use them, great. If not, plant them. COVID, is COVID factored into this spike or not?
Great question. You know what? I have to say, we are doing really great work despite COVID. COVID has made it much harder to do what we do. Getting into the hospitals, having to do your check and wear the masks, it's just harder than ever before. The families who are visiting their loved ones at the end of their lives are having limits on how many visitors can come in, how long they can visit. And so it's a little more stressful and difficult. But the COVID itself, I mean, it hasn't really made an impact negatively or positively, to be honest with you. Just as many organs are getting transplanted, if not more. There have been situations, I think, from time to time where maybe some of those spikes where maybe there weren't always ICU beds available for everyone. But if you just step back and look at the numbers, it was a very successful year for transplant and for donation, despite these challenges.
Well, you mentioned how many people gave their organs, but how long is the line? I mean, like, how many people right now, say, that are watching this in San Diego County are waiting for a kidney or waiting for a heart?
Yeah, there's about 2,000 people in San Diego County waiting at any of our 4 transplant programs in San Diego, which are UCSD, Sharp, Scripps, and Rady. All have transplant programs. 2,000 people collectively on that list. Nationally, it's over 100,000 people waiting.
And the matching up process, I assume not everybody's organ is a good match for someone on that list?
Yeah, that's great. So it starts with your blood type. You have to have a compatible blood type. And then there's also tissue typing, and then there's size. That does matter for hearts and lungs. We've got to make sure it's going to fit in there and line up. And so there is a lot of matching that goes on, and it's done through a computerized system run by the United Network for Organ Sharing out of Richmond, Virginia. All transplant programs all donors go into that system that does that matching, so that it's done very precisely, so that everybody gets the best match they can.
So Jeff, in a perfect world, we would flip those numbers. We would have 2,000 donors and only 400 people that needed. I mean, that would be the perfect equation, right? So you could have a mix and match.
That would be ideal. But I think you touch on a point where even though you and I are registered to be organ donors, the reality is at the end of our lives, only about 1 out of 300 of us will actually be in that position to donate, because you have to die a very specific way with relatively healthy organs. And it just doesn't happen that often. These are people who die in the ICU on a ventilator, typically with a brain injury of some sort. Most of us die of old age, of cancer, of heart disease, things like that. So there are some limiting factors, and that's why there's that gap. 100% of us are going to pass away, but very few of us are going to be in a position to actually donate.
Jeff, I kind of like the idea that some part of me might be living on beyond my mortal days on Earth. That appeals to me. I know some people get really squeamish talking about this, but I think, you know, if you're watching at home, mark it on the card. How do people find out more about what you do and your company or your organization?
Well, let me first say, you know, I really appreciate you saying that. You know, I think most families that we talk to, actually, I'd say almost all families we talk to, actually get something knowing that part of their loved one lives on and is helping someone else be alive. And that's a really powerful gift. For people who want to learn more, DonateLifeCalifornia.org is an exceptional resource. We have our own Lifesharing.org website as well, where you can get some information, how it works, how to register. So those are probably the 2 best resources. And I think once you've registered, tell your family, tell your friends.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I hope if we just get one person to donate today, well, then this was worth a live shot.
Absolutely.
And if you're anywhere close to my age, that ain't true, because you look pretty damn good, or excuse me, pretty darn good for somebody who's in my geographical range as far as age group. So.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. I don't think you have to worry about it anytime soon. Hey, Jeff, thanks a lot for talking about it. This is an important conversation. We have to have it.
Thanks for having me on it.